There's never any explanation. It's just my fault. That's all I look at it as. It's my fault. There's whatever you want to call it. I just have to understand. If I sneeze the wrong way, it'll be a flag. It'll be a fine. If I tie my shoe the wrong way, it might be a fine or a flag. It is what it is. You have to understand that. As tough as it is to understand that, for a 23-year-old who has been blessed with a lot, God has gifted me with an amazing amount of ability, amazing amount of everything, and just it seems like it's all working against you. But what are you gonna do? You gonna back down, or are you gonna stand up? And I've never been one to back down. So I'm gonna stand up. We're gonna work to get better.
He's got to be aware. People are looking for him, and he's got to play smart, and he just can't afford to do anything. They're gonna call him. He's kind of brought that upon himself, so he's got to realize that.
The frustrated 23-year-old's going to stand up. Eli says he brought it upon himself. Will, I want to get your thoughts here on this subject. What was your takeaway on Beckham last night?
That largely Beckham is being childish. I listened to you two gentlemen debate this earlier, and I hate to say this because it's a bad habit to get into, but I think I agreed almost entirely with Max on it. We used words like immature, unable to control his emotions. That all adds up to the obvious conclusion that he's being childish. And beyond that, as you heard in that video right there, he's still looking for excuses. He's still looking to shift blame to other places, as though it's the referee's fault, or as Stephen A. offers, the play caller's fault, or the coaching staff's fault, or the camera's fault that follow you around. When you say things like, if I tie my shoe the wrong way, I get a flag. If I sneeze the wrong way, I get a flag. He's painting himself as this persecuted person. He's not persecuted. He's brought all of these problems onto himself. And Stephen A., I heard you say, you know, you want to see accountability, but you referenced it when it comes to the coaching staff. You don't want to see Eli or Ben McAdoo shifting the problems of the team on to Odell. But we have to ask that same accountability from Odell. He has to own his own problems, and these are clearly his problems. One other thing you said earlier in the show is you said it's not mental weakness unless it cripples your game. Well, I'm not going to say that Odell is mentally weak, but he is showing mental weakness. He is showing that quality. When your game, after that moment with Xavier Rhodes, which, by the way, I agree, Max, he should have been tossed for like 3 different reasons. He took his helmet off on the field. He bumped an official. All of this after his initial warning. After that moment, 3 for 23, 3 catches for 23 yards, 0 catches in the second half. That is crippling your game. That is reducing yourself to someone that is imminently controllable. And Xavier Rhodes did it. He owned him last night, not just physically, not just on the football field, mentally. He owned Odell Beckham. He dictated Odell Beckham's behavior and therefore dictated his play. That is not someone in control. That is not someone tough. That is someone childish.
And the proof in the pudding, by the way, is that he wasn't making the spectacular play in the second half. The ball did come his way a couple times. Very tough catches. You can't expect normal people, even elite receivers to make those kind of catches. But Odell makes those kind of catches routinely, and he was almost just about, but not making the catch. What changed? What changed was, I agree, you can get under his skin. Norman did it last year.
First of all, I'm serious when I say this. I'm not giving anybody a pass for selfishness and immaturity. But I also want to make sure that I ask you to make sure you interpret my thoughts accurately.
All right.
Here's why. I am not giving Odell Beckham Jr. a pass. What I'm saying is, on far too many occasions in my 24 years as a journalist covering sports, I have seen on too many occasions where the person getting the finger pointed at them is where everybody is focusing their ire and their attention on, as opposed to what the bigger problem is and what led to it. I think of a guy like Eli Manning. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. That's what we say. What we don't point out is that the New York Giants have missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years. The lone season that they made the postseason was when they won the Super Bowl. And because of that, we give Eli Manning a pass, but Tom Coughlin didn't get a pass. He's fired. They kept the offensive coordinator, elevated him to the head coach, kept the defensive coordinator, kept the GM. The GM who, by the way, sat at the locker. And I like Jerry Reese. He sat at the locker talking to Odell Beckham Jr. in the aftermath of all of this. As a boss, if a boss out there said to me, I'd bench Odell Beckham Jr., I don't blame him on its face, because he's saying, I don't need that kind of distraction. I'm making the argument that the Giants have been a distraction to themselves for at least 6 of the last 7 years. There's been one problem after another after another. Their ownership's response was, we're going to get rid of Tom Coughlin. Not his staff, not change the culture, not do anything. Literally, he's the only one that's gone. And so when I look at it from that perspective, and then I see an Odell Beckham Jr. acting up the way, on his face, I'm looking at him like, come on, dog, get your head together. Come on now. You can't do this. Y'all are right about that. I'm not refuting that. What I'm saying is it's a mistake to stop there and just look at him as opposed to looking at why some things happen.
Well, you could also point the finger at Jerry Reese, who hasn't, other than drafting Odell,
sure.
if you,
I just
hasn't
said
had the best draft.
You're right.
You know why Odell attracts the attention he does? Not just the antics, because he's so special. Odell is the most special player on the team and arguably in the league.
I'm saying forget all of that for 1 second.
That's why people pay attention to him.
And I'm asking you to forget that for 1 second so I can make this point to both of you. Damn, y'all. In your chosen profession, you talented. In your chosen profession, you talented. We haven't found ourselves in situations where the frustration just boils because you are going about the business.
To reporters, though,
I don't. I would never do that.
Yeah.
I don't talk about the blogosphere. None of
No,
them.
you
I don't
don't.
do any of that. But I must tell you, there are times when, look, I'm a difficult dude to deal with, and I'm gonna tell you something right now. Unapologetically so. And very happy to tell you that because the work that I put in to be as successful as I am and as hard as I work when the people around me, not y'all, of course, but not anybody in this, I'm not talking about the show, but I'm just saying in general throughout life, you find yourself in situations where you're surrounded with ineptitude and questionable interest.
Okay,
and
listen,
focus,
but
and that will make
you
you
deal
look.
with it very differently,
He's 23, Will.
You're right. But there are two separate issues here.
Okay.
There are Giants problems and there are Odell Beckham problems.
Yeah.
But he's 23.
And they're not one and the same. Odell Beckham has to deal with his problems. And when you point out Giants problems, it sounds like what you're doing is making excuses for him. And let me tell you something. He's ready to hear excuses. He's talking about his shoelaces here.
Yeah, that was a problem. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. You're right about that.
There's another element here, which is when you are talented in a way that no one else is. You can use that talent. You're not always going to be surrounded by similar pieces or parts. Maybe Roethlisberger makes better use of Antonio Brown than Eli does of Odell Beckham. Maybe or Matt Ryan makes better use of Julio Jones. Maybe Odell sees that and gets frustrated. You can allow your talent to isolate you from everyone else. Jordan sometimes did that early in his career, and we're going to a different sport. Or you can use your talent to uplift those around you as LeBron James does.
I got a question for both of y'all. This is my last.
And Odell needs to be more LeBron right now.
I'm coming to you. I'll ask a question for both of y'all. I got nothing to say after this question. Do you look at a situation where a guy is young and find yourself asking this one question? What the hell is y'all job? He's 23. He's a stud. We understand he's a bit problematic. But if you can't find a way to overcome that, why do I need you? Meaning the coach, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback, etc.
I got an answer for your question.
Please.
I don't think Odell Beckham's frustrations, at least last night, had to do with play calling. I don't think it had to do with how many times he was getting the ball. I think it had to do with Xavier Rhodes. I think his frustration was fairly pointed at the cornerback across from him who was owning him, which proved someone else can control his behavior. There is a mentality that many people have, that if you get punched, you must punch back.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're a punk and you're not tough yourself. That's not true. Honestly, you see it in politics. Donald Trump will punch back at anything that comes and punches at him. What happens is you become controlled.
You can be baited in a tweet.
That's right. You're baited. You're not even in control of yourself. How are you going to control your game if all I have to do is insult you? If all I have to do is get in your head, and the next thing you know, you're gone. See, Odell Beckham's frustrations and his problems aren't the Giants. They're not Ben McAdoo. They're not Eli. They're his opponents and him.
It's also, if you have a persecution complex, in other words, Odell has been able to impose his will on the game of football. Very difficult to do in the NFL. But he's so much better than everyone. When he's not open, he's still open. He can do the impossible. So So he's talented differently than everyone else, and when it's not going his way, he starts to look for excuses. Rhodes is getting away with stuff. Eli's missing me. They're not calling my number.
Fair?
Yep.
Don't disagree with either of your points. What I would say is, though, in the sport of football, what is the reason they call wide receivers prima donnas for? They want the ball. They usually believe they're open. You sprinting and racing and running routes and getting hit and all of this other stuff. And there are missed opportunities. Odell Beckham Jr.'s behavior is not foreign from the wide receiver position. And at age 23, with his talent, his proven track record, he's being selfish, he's being immature. Got it. No disagreement.
No, that's fair.
But there's a level of understanding that we need to give this guy
this is what I mean.
in this situation.
This is what I mean by...
That's all I'm saying.
This is what I mean by he gets attention because he's so special. Because you look at Odell, and the real question is, Odell, do you want to be Jerry Rice or Chad Ochocinco?
Do you know who?
By the way, great wideout, but it's not Jerry
Right
Rice.
here. You know who he's starting to remind me of? Not Ochocinco, DeMarcus Cousins. Starting to look a lot like DeMarcus Cousins.
Ooh. I'll think about that.
One other thing,
think
too.
about
Your
that.
point about the Odell Beckham issues and the Giants issues being separate issues, very strong. One last thing I just have to say to what you're saying. You're a special talent, right? You're one of the best on TV. You get frustrated, correct? But you don't go and talk about it with reporters post-game and share all your feelings. That's what I'm saying. But that's something that can be controlled, and that brings it back on him as well.
But I'm 48. Ask me what I was when I was 23.
Yeah, but here's the problem with being a player. You ain't going to be a player when you're 48. You got to get it right when you're 23.
Yep.
I don't know about 23. You're right. We're not at 23.
That was a great conversation. We want to know what you guys think at home, though. Is Odell Beckham more trouble than he's worth? Go on our First Take Twitter page and vote. We will reveal those results a little later.
I actually have to concede that Will actually made a good point for the first time.
Oh, please.
I got to give it to him.
First time.
First Take is brought to you by the new grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza, only at Pizza Hut.
So when we brought this question up in the meeting, is Odell Beckham more trouble than he's worth, our Twitter poll, and I said nobody's really going to answer yes, right? 45% said Odell Beckham, that special talent, is more trouble than he's worth.
What is you, ignorant?
Reaction? Twitter getting it right?
That's ridiculous. He's worth the trouble because he's a superstar in this league. Period. If you are a superstar, if you are somebody who produces, you're worth the trouble.
Yeah, he's worth the trouble. The point is to harness his energy in a way where he's not trouble. I mean, that's the issue. Of course, he's worth it.
45%.
Why be trouble?
Oh, shocking.
May I make a correction? Can I change the subject for a quick second? Somebody from the Cleveland Cavaliers reached out to me to inform me that they are not the 6th most profitable. They've actually, they've lost more money than most.
Well, in that case, sell the team.
That's
Dan
what they
Gilbert,
said.
if it's such a hardship, sell the team.
They lost.
Gosh.
They were like ranked 5th in terms of them losing the most.
I'm sure they've lost a ton of money on the Cavs. Dan Gilbert's
Okay,
the poor house.
thank you. Point of order. We
you what they
appreciate it.
Nonsense.
Odell Beckham tweeted a passage from the poem Invictus this morning. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms, but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid.
Let me say something about that.
I don't know what the hell he
Basically, you know Frank Sinatra's My Way, I did it my way? That's basically what he's saying here. I did it my way. I'm bloodied but unbowed.
My favorite song of all time.
But that's the wrong thing for Odell to be saying now. Odell, we're glad you have that fighting spirit. Never let anyone change your spirit. I know you won't. But harness your energy and focus it better. Now's not the time to say, I did it my way. No, now's the time to say, I learned something.
New level, new devil.
Hold on.
Let him see you sweat.
You may be right over the long haul, but for the immediate future, instead of pointing the finger at Odell Beckham Jr., why don't you point the finger at the rest of your New York Giants who've lost 2 in a row and have every excuse? Look,
I'm saying he's their best player.
I'm just saying, look in the camera and call them out too. What you bothering him for? Why don't you call the rest of them out?
Well, none of them are having temper tantrums on the sideline and risking ejection.
They're just losing, that's all.
23 yards yesterday,
What difference does it mean?
Odell,
That's on him?
Odell, I'm used to
That's
those
on him?
sticky fingers
That's
where he
on him?
catches everything. That
You sure
wasn't
Eli
yesterday.
didn't have anything to do with that?
Eli had a lot to do with it.
All right. Well, then
Odell
say
is
it.
a better player
Then
than
say
Eli.
it.
I've
Say
been
it.
saying that.
Say it. Look at it. Say it again.
That's not what
say
the issue
it
is.
again.
Odell's better than Eli?
No, I didn't say that. I
He
said
is.
say it again.
Odell's
say it
better than
again.
Eli.
Say it again.
I've said it enough.
Eli.
What about Eli?
People ask
the
me
two-time
all the
Super Bowl
time.
MVP?
Oh, that hasn't made the
All
playoffs
the
in 6
time
of the
that I
last
get
7
a
years.
headache.
The MVPs, that's
I
a deal you make.
officially do have a headache, in case you guys wanted to know. Goodbye.